Okay, this is my part two. You understand me? If you own my part two, shout out to you. You feel me? Yeah, man. But once again, you know, whatever you doing, it was predestinated for you to do it. You understand me? You know, this I gotta find my part where I was just at. Dang, I know where I was at. Let's get it. Isaiah 4:1, right? What happens when order is lost? Isaiah 4:1. And in that day, 7 women shall take hold of 1 man, right? And that's gonna be real soon, man. That's a prophecy, man. I ain't gonna lie. It's happening now. You feel me? I need to stop my phone from switching like that. Let's get it. Okay. This is important. Isaiah 4:1 is not presenting these women as an example of adhering to the spirit. It is describing a pathetic condition of disorder and judgment. That distinction matters. The lesson is when divine order is rejected, disorder follows. The women say we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. They won't the man's name, only let us be called by thy name. This shows a society experiencing severe imbalance. The contrast is powerful. Adhering to the spirit produces order. Rejecting divine direction produces disorder. When you're studying Isaiah 4:1, don't merely ask, what are those women doing? Ask, what happened? What happens when people stop adhering to divine order? That's the warning, right? That's the warning. You find yourself in a fucked up situation when you stop adhering to divine order. That's what happens, right? What does adhering to the spirit actually look like? It looks like, right, when he says go, you go, Abraham. When he says stop, you stop, Paul. When he says wait, you wait, David. When he says run, you run, Joseph, fleeing temptation. When he says build, you build, Noah. When he says speak, you speak, the prophets. When he says be silent, you become silent, David repeatedly refusing revenge, right? When he says don't defile yourself, you separate, Daniel. When he says trust me, you trust, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. The purer the vessel, the more discernment matters. Purity doesn't make a person omniscient, right? It doesn't mean every feeling becomes revelation. It means you are removing things that can compete with obedience. Wisdom of Solomon 1:5. For the Holy Spirit of discipline will flee deceit. That's why maliciousness is dangerous. You cannot ask, Lord, show me your will, while intentionally nurturing a spirit of hatred, lust, deception, revenge, and corruption. The spirit of discipline requires discipline. Correct. 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 You can't fight it, right? You got to be disciplined with this, man. You understand me? And discipline gonna knock out all those negative frequencies. That hatred, that lust, that deception, that revenge, that corruption. Yeah, discipline gonna get rid of all that. The Lord can turn the heart of a king, Proverbs 21:1. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, and as the rivers of water, he turneth whithersoever he will. This means you don't have to manipulate. You don't have to manipulate everybody to accomplish what the Lord wants accomplished. You don't have to force every door. You don't have to manipulate every person. You don't have to scheme. You don't have to panic. If the Lord wants somebody's heart turned toward a particular decision, he is capable of directing it. It's simple. Where the free will at? Where's the free will? Your responsibility is obey your part. Let the Lord handle his part. Simple. Simple. Sometimes, bro, we just be doing too much. That's all it be. We be doing entirely too motherfucking much. You know what I'm saying? And even us doing too much still be his will. Because later down the line, you gonna look back and be like, bro, you know, I was really doing too much here. But the wise one be like, why? Why was I doing too much? Who had me doing too much? A pathetic scenario, the door you didn't understand. Imagine a man applies for something he desperately wants. He expects a yes and receives a no. He becomes angry. Weeks later, he discovers that if he had gotten that opportunity, he would have missed another opportunity that was much greater. Suddenly, he realizes the rejection wasn't necessarily rejection, it was redirection. Man, if you on this part 2, I know you just got a gem with that one. Proverbs 16:9, a man's heart deviseth his way, but the Lord directeth his steps. The man thought, I know where I'm going. The Lord knew, you don't. That's why adherence requires humility. Yeah, you got to be humble with the Lord. You got to be humble in life in general, right? Anointed scenario, the woman who appears at the wrong time, right? A man is practicing purity, then an old sexual connection returns. Everything feels familiar. The flesh says, maybe this is meant to be. But the spirit reminds him, you already know where this road leads. This is where purity and adherence meet. He doesn't need to ask, can I? He needs to ask, does this agree with what Yahweh has been teaching me? If the relationship repeatedly pulls him away from purity, discipline, righteousness, and peace, adherence may require walk away. Joseph didn't negotiate with temptation. Genesis 39:12, he fled. Sometimes your spiritual breakthrough isn't in learning how to fight temptation. Sometimes it's learning when to leave. The Spirit can lead you without explaining everything. This is the heart of the lesson. Let's get it. You don't always need to understand why. Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Right? Your understanding says, explain it first. Faith says, I follow. Your flesh says, show me the outcome. Faith says, I take the next step. Right? The great lesson, right? Let's get it. Purity prepares your ears. Stewardship prepares your hands. Obedience prepares your feet. But adherence to the Spirit brings all three together. Your ears hear, your mind discerns, your heart submits, your feet move. That's spiritual alignment. Let's get the final declaration. I will not assume I know my own way. I will acknowledge the Lord. I will acknowledge that my steps belong to the Lord. I will not lean completely upon my own understanding. I will test what I hear against the word. I will keep my vessel pure. I will guard my mind. I will discipline my flesh. I will not confuse lust with the Spirit. I will not confuse fear with the Spirit. I will not confuse impulse with the Spirit. When the Spirit says go, I will go. When the Spirit says stop, I will stop. When the Spirit says wait, I will wait. When the Spirit says leave, I will leave. When the Spirit says stay, I will stay. When the Lord closes a door, I will not force it. When the Lord opens a door, I will walk through it with discernment. I will remember that the deceived and the deceiver are under his sovereignty. I will remember that the heart of the kings is in his hand. I will remember that angels minister according to his command. I will remember that I do not know my own goings. And above everything, I would adhere to the Spirit, because I don't need to know the entire road. I need to know who is leading me. And if the Lord is leading me, I will follow. Purify the vessel, discern the voice, follow the Spirit, trust the will of the Lord. When he says go, I go. When he says stop, I stop. When he says wait, I wait. When he says move, I move. That is adherence. That is spiritual maturity. That is the next level. And all you guys, man, that clicked on my part 2, I appreciate you for clicking on, man. I hope you got some gems. And until I see you guys in the portal again, I hope you all have learned something. And man, try to adhere to the Spirit as much as possible. Try to purify your vessel as much as possible so you could be able to adhere to the Spirit. Right? You could be able to get the signal clear. Okay? And I'm in this journey with you, right? Like I said on my previous lesson, semen retention and celibacy is a lifestyle, right? It's not a process, but a lifestyle, right? Fasting is a lifestyle. It's not a process, it's a lifestyle, right? Following the Lord is a lifestyle. It's not a process, but it's a lifestyle, okay? But once again, I hope you all have learned something. And if the video, whatever, sound like, I'm in the heavens, I am. You know what I'm saying? I am. So until I see you guys again in the portal, I ask that Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, keep you guys covered out there. And until next time, I'm out.